Imagine this. You ask your AI assistant a hard question, something a college seminar might wrestle with for an hour, and it pauses, thinks, and comes back with a clear, structured answer that feels like it was written by a small team of experts. Now imagine that same assistant can also write code, read charts, reason through medical literature, parse a diagram, and suggest your next 5 moves all in one conversation. That leap is what OpenAI calls GPT-5. But today, on MindSpark, Science Now, we're not doing a hype reel. We're pulling back the curtain on why smarter models also raise the stakes and what OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, says needs to happen so that these systems help more than they harm. Let's start with what changed. GPT-5 isn't just a new model. It's a unified system that decides when to answer quickly and when to slow down and think. There's a real-time router that chooses between a fast responder and a deeper thinking mode for tougher problems. In practice, that means fewer hallucinations, better instruction following, and stronger performance in coding. Math, multimodal reasoning, and health-related questions. Useful, impressive, and exactly why the risk conversation can't be an afterthought. Because when you pair higher raw capability with tool-use browsers, code execution, document access, you don't just get better answers. You get systems that can plan, execute, and adapt. That's where power enters the chat. And with power come failure modes that look less like typos and more like real-world consequences. Sam Altman has been unusually direct about this. His position isn't panic now, but it's also not ship and shrugged. He's argued that as we push toward superintelligence systems, it's more capable than the best humans in most domains, we will need new forms of governance. Coordination among leading labs, international oversight above certain capability or compute thresholds, and rigorous technical work on safety that keeps pace with capability. If this technology goes wrong, he told lawmakers, it can go quite wrong. That's the frame for GPT-5. Progress with guardrails, or progress that outruns them. So what are the hidden dangers as models cross the GPT-5 threshold? Danger 1. Dual-use science at scale. Models that summarize papers and reason about mechanisms can accelerate discovery, but the same skills could lower barriers for biological or chemical misuse. Spews OpenAI's own safety roadmap zeros in here. It explicitly tracks biochemical risks and refuses higher-risk queries. As the how-to bar drops in beneficial contexts, it drops in malicious contexts too. Safety isn't a filter you slap on after launch. It's a moving target you have to anticipate. Danger 2. Cyber capabilities. GPT-5 level reasoning can find patterns in code bases, spot vulnerabilities, chain steps together, and improve through feedback. That's great for defense patching, auditing, testing. It's also a risk multiplier for attackers who want to automate reconnaissance, generate exploit variants, or orchestrate scaled phishing. The worry isn't that a model decides to hack. It's that people with ordinary skills can now do extraordinary damage if safeguards fail. Danger 3. AI, self-improvement, and autonomy. The more we ask models to set goals, evaluate progress, and call tools on their own, the more we flirt with systems that are agentic-able to pursue objectives across long horizons. Boosts productivity. It also creates control problems. Humans are good at bounding tasks. AIs are good at finding shortcuts. If the objective isn't specified correctly, the shortcut might be unacceptable. A key research focus is spotting when a system becomes too capable in these directions and pausing unless safeguards are strong enough. Now for the quieter risks, the ones that sneak up on you because they feel like convenience. Overtrust. GPT-5 is statistically far less likely to hallucinate than past models. Less is not never. And the answer sounds authoritative, people stop checking. That's dangerous in law, medicine, finance, and geopolitics. The fix is partly technical, better truthfulness benchmarks, explicit uncertainty, stricter tools, verification, and partly cultural. Treat outputs as drafts, not verdicts. Deceptive competence. Reasoning models have a temptation to sound confident when they don't know, or to gloss over missing tools. OpenAI claims it's making deception measurably rarer by training models to say, "I can't do that here," instead of faking it. That's progress. But it's not a solved problem. and the incentive to please users doesn't always align with the incentive to be honest. Persuasion and manipulation. Even if electoral influence isn't the headline risk category in OpenAI's severe harm framework, it's still a societal risk. Personalized, always-on systems can tune messages to your fears and desires. Pair that with voice cloning, realistic images, and agentic outreach, and the slope gets slippery fast. Platforms need provenance, watermarking, and friction. Users need skepticism, privacy, and data leakage. Smarter models infer more from less. That's wonderful for accessibility and assistance. It's also a minefield for sensitive information. Expect the privacy debate to shift from what did you upload to what can the system deduce, and whether enterprise or consumer controls keep those inferences boxed in. Economic shock. GPT-IF class models upgrade average performance across many kinds of knowledge work. The hidden danger isn't instant mass unemployment, it's uneven displacement and a new dependency on a handful of model providers. If we don't plan transitions, worker retraining, and competition policy, we'll amplify inequality while congratulating ourselves on productivity. So what are the levers OpenAI says it's pulling in? How should we judge them? First, evaluations and thresholds. OpenAI's preparedness framework sets tracked categories for severe risks biochemical. Cybersecurity and AI self-improvement defines capability thresholds that trigger stricter safeguards. If a model hits a high threshold, it doesn't ship until mitigations are in place. If it hits critical, even internal use is gated. This is the right kind of thinking. Define what would scare you in advance, then measure honestly against it. Second, governance inside the company. A safety advisory group reviews test results and recommends mitigations. A safety and security committee of the board provides oversight. On paper, that spreads responsibility. In practice, it works only if the bar for not safe enough actually stops, launches when it should. Transparency matters here. Publishing system cards, test scopes, and mitigation rationales lets the public and independent experts check the math. Third, product-level mitigations. Refusal policies for higher-risk queries. Stricter identity checks for sensitive tools. Sandboxed code execution. Audited browsing. Agent kill switches. Rate limits that make scaled abuse harder. Provenance signals for generated media. None of these are silver bullets. Together, they form a safety stack. GPT-5 adds an interesting twist. A router that decides when to think harder. That router must itself be safe. If it routes a borderline request into deeper reasoning with the wrong tools available, you can get a failure that the shallow mode would have avoided. Fourth, the bigger picture. Coordination. Altman has floated ideas that go beyond any one company tracking compute and energy as a global early warning signal, and eventually standing up something like an international agency for superintelligence with the power to audit, restrict, or pause deployments above certain capability thresholds. Whether you love or hate that idea, it acknowledges a hard truth. Market incentives alone won't pick a safe speed. Let's get practical for developers, organizations, and everyday users navigating GPT-5 right now. If you build with GPT-5, keep humans in the loop where errors are expensive. Prefer retrieval augmented generation and tool calls, with verification over freeform prose. Log all agent actions. Force explicit confirmations before destructive steps. Run red team drills against your own features, then fix the things that break. If you deploy GPT-5 in sensitive domains, adopt trust, but verify by default. Track model versioning, reasoning, effort settings, and router behavior in your audit logs. For healthcare or finance use cases, require dual attestation of model's conclusion plus an independent check. Budget time for prompt and policy hardening. It matters more than you think. If you're a policymaker, aim for capability-based rules. Focus oversight on systems above defined risk thresholds, not on every spreadsheet macro that calls an API. Make compute reporting mandatory at the frontier. Strengthen platform-level identity requirements for agentic tool use. And fund independent capability evaluations, so safety claims aren't self. And if you're just a curious human using GPT-5 for work or school, ask for sources, not just answers. When the model declares something confidently, try a quick "what would change your mind?" follow-up. Use it to think brainstorming, drafting, translating, but make sure the last mile is you. So where does this leave us? There's a line in Sam Altman's writing that captures the mood. The takeoff has started. The future could be vastly better than the present if we get the hard parts right. GPT-5 is a meaningful step in capability. It's also a stress test of whether our safety science, our corporate governance, and our public institutions can keep up. The hidden danger isn't that AI wakes up tomorrow and decides to be malicious. The danger is that we, dazzled by its competence, hand it too much autonomy without the scaffolding technical, organizational, and legal that keeps powerful systems pointed where we want them to go. As always, we'll keep tracking the science and the trade-offs here on MindSpark, Science Now. If this episode helped you see the risks and the path through them, hit subscribe, share it with a friend, and tell me what you want us to unpack next. Thanks for listening.